But
not
your
like in the
your
old
beginning,
days.
yeah.
Yeah.
So your beginning started. So you like yes, you're one of the longest serving Blue Peter presenters ever. That's like a boop in itself.
But
But you went on Blue Peter when you was 14 and you performed
did.
on there.
I did. I was in the National Youth Music Theatre.
Oh, is it?
So, like, basically, because I grew up in, like, so I'm British Bangladeshi
Yeah.
from Muslim background.
Okay.
And, you know, as with, you know, I'm allowed to say this because I'm Asian. I can
Yeah.
get away with it. Lots of Asian parents come over to give their kids a good education.
Yeah.
So when my parents came over to the UK, they, like, you know, the revered career paths were like, become an accountant, become an engineer,
100%.
be a mathematician, be a
Yes, yes,
scientist,
yes.
be a doctor, you know, and then you come over and it's like, be a fashion designer, be a pop star, be on telly, be an actor, you know, all of that stuff. And I was always torn between like the arts and the sciences, because I do actually like science. I quite, you know, maths is one of those things that if you're good at it, then it's just an easy subject still, or whatever.
Yeah.
So I grew up sort of always being torn. I was like going to be an engineer or a doctor or something like that. But I loved drama and stuff like that. And so my sister heard a thing on the radio. I was in my local theatre club or whatever, after school club group, whatever. And it was for the National Youth Music Theatre. So I auditioned, and I was literally, my role was like, I was barmaid. I didn't even have a name in this play.
Yeah.
Barmaid, I said 4 lines. Like, I can even remember, your HUQ, my lord, was one of the lines, serving this drink to Jude Law, who was Lord.
Yeah.
Because he was in that play in the National Youth Music Theatre. And then, but one day his wife was ill, and because there's only 7 parts, you know, this is before equality was such a thing as it is today. I understudied all the female parts. So I played Jude Law's wife once when his actual wife was ill.
Yeah.
So that's my claim to fame.
Do you still speak to Jude Law now?
Do you know what? I've bumped into him since then. And I've told, because you know, you bump into along the way. And I remember actually bumping into him when he was just about to do Shopping, which is one of his first movies where he was breaking through. And he'd just, or maybe he had done it. He was just becoming famous, and I hadn't got Blue Peter then. I can't even remember. I told you, I'm really bad to do this podcast because I don't. I'm
good.
one of these people. I wouldn't even be able to.
But this is kind of what's good, because it's always like
everything in my head is so.
Because so much things are on. You can rely on the internet, but it's like what you remember and your experience.
Yeah, but am I remembering it right?
Do you know what I mean?
Can I put a date on these things?
Yeah,
no.
man.
But yeah, no, I have, you know, quite a few people. Matt Lucas was in the National Youth Music Theatre. Stephen Graham. I was in a play with Stephen Graham. Yeah, lots of people came up through that path. There was also the National Youth Theatre, but we were rivals with them.
Oh.
Yeah.
Was that like seeing them on the way there and being like, come on in, do you want some?
Yeah, give it.
So like, you get the Blue Peter job, yeah? Because I always seen the Blue Peter job, right, as like, it was like the original Hogwarts. Do you know what I mean? Like, for presenting. Because it was like, to get that job as a presenter, it was like, especially for us as kids.
Yeah.
You know, we watched that. I remember watching Blue Peter as a kid.
Who was your era? Oh, was I your era?
I think you was my era, yeah, because I was 9 years old.
Oh.
So you was my era.
Okay.
But also, I think like the beautiful thing about Blue Peter, right, is that it never held like any agenda. There was no social media. So if you seen them build something, you'd be like, I'm gonna go and get my cereal box and try to build that thing.
Yeah.
But this was before, like, now you have your
YouTube
TikToks that help you do that and stuff.
And all that, yeah.
And people forget, like, is that...
We're the original. We were the original YouTube and YouTube Shorts.
Like, real
TikTok,
life
all
arts and crafts. But, like, people forget is that, you see with Blue Peter, you guys would do that thing where you'd be like, here's how you can make I think there was one, and I tried to build it, is where you get a cereal box. You get, like, marble. And I remember there was a phase where marbles just became big. I think they've always became big, but I remember growing up, everyone was just collecting marbles. I'll never forget this. And you guys done this whole section of like, yeah, you can, you know, if you get like some toilet roll that's finished, and you can make like a little maze for it and stuff, and you done it. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, all right, yeah, I'm in my marbles. But Blue Pete, you guys would do that thing where you're like, cool, and put it aside, and you're like, and here's one we made earlier. And I'm like, hey, yo, whoa.
That doesn't match up to that. Yeah, there was that.
Yeah.
But in our defense, often like we would have made the things earlier. Like they were so into doing everything for real.
Oh wow.
Everything for real. Like I remember when I first joined, they wanted to take me. I went back filming to Bangladesh, to the village that my parents had grown up in and stuff. And I remember, and like when I got the job, it was like first Asian presenter, you know, British Bangladesh, and I used to just think, no, but I'm like everyone else. I can present. It's not just because I'm brown or whatever. And then we went back, and basically they said to me, can you, instead of having an interpreter, can you just do all the speaking and stuff? And I felt too embarrassed to, and I always regret that because I was like, but everyone else would have an interpreter. And also I think I was embarrassed because I've got a terrible Bengali accent.
Okay.
And so people often can't.
Did it feel like pressure at that time?
Do you know what? I hated it when people say, well, how do you feel about being a role model?
Yeah.
Because I sort of think, and I don't know, it sounds a bit annoying and square. I don't know back then, but then you grow up and you're wiser and more mature and you realise actually, hey, that's kind of a good thing. I remember when I watched the OJ doc, and they're always saying how he was really ashamed or sort of tried to hide the fact that he had any ethnicity in his background or whatever. And I think, you know, especially because I'm how much, 10 years, 20 years, a million years older than you. I think growing back then, because like inclusivity and diversity weren't so much a thing, you just want to fit in as a kid, don't you? You just want to fit in. So I think, you know, you sort of, I think there was more of a tendency to feel like I just want to be like everyone else, but less so now.
What was it like being a presenter in the 90s? Because I am so fascinated of 90s television. It's what I grew up with. But 90s,
my God, I love the 90s.
The 90s and early 2000 TV was like, I have the biggest fascination
what did you used to
with
watch?
it. So obviously as a kid, you know, you've got your Blue Peters, News Round. Oh my God.
Do you know what? I was on News Round before I was on Blue Peters.
Really?
In 1992, they came to my school.
Yeah.
And they wanted people to interview Neil Kinnock before the general election. So I asked him a question on behalf of the Green Party about nuclear weapons. And I got to go to lunch in Pizza Express in Shepherd's Bush with Krishnan and Guru Murthy.
Oh, wow.
And Juliet, I can't even remember what her surname is, the other presenter of News. I told you, I'm no good to do podcasts. I can't remember.
I don't know who it is either.
Yeah,
well,
you won't know because you were what? Were you born then?
No, but I know news presenters by face. Like I know a couple by name.
What year were you born? Come on.
Well, I'm 88.
Okay, yeah. So you.
So when it comes to news presenters, my main guy is obviously Trevor McDonald.
He on my Blue Peter, like on the webpage where it had your fact file.
Yeah.
Trevor McDonald was always like my hero or my idol or who I look up